because patients actually need confidence in getting the care that they need because they know that you'll be confidential about whatever they have to say to you. And it doesn't have to even be something that a lot of people think is embarrassing. What if you're a politician or a candidate and you have just possibly had cancer? All you want to do is find out, but you don't want the world to find out. You want to go to a place where you know it's not going to go outside those four walls. You don't want it to be connected to a state health information network or a national health information network. That's not what you want. You want it to be safe, but yet you need to have an answer because you're a patient and it should be a safe environment.
Exactly. Yes. Well, you have some really interesting stuff going on here, and I really appreciate you coming on and discussing it. I would like to have you back at some time to see how it's going, especially with the healthcare is going to be an issue. Every campaign now from the next 10 years is going to be, well, probably every campaign forever. Healthcare is a major topic, but I think this as well. Now I got to ask you, do you think Obamacare could ever really be repealed with where it's at right now?
So I think the American people believe it will never be repealed.
I think you're right with that.
And the purpose of the wedge is to basically circumvent Obamacare so that we actually will neutralize it. So even if it stays in law, it will be neutralized. It will be impotent. It will not have the power because people will not be under its rules or regulations or its laws because will have decided to set themselves free from all of that. And so that those controls will not be able to come into those practices. And eventually, we hope to have wedge hospitals so that all of those regulations and all those contracts are not signed by those hospitals either. And so hospital care, even cardiac surgery becomes affordable. All you have to do is go to the Surgery Center of Oklahoma and look at their prices and see what's in their prices. They don't take any contracts. They don't sign any contracts and they don't do government, healthcare, but they will see people, lots of people, even see them charitably, not even charge them anything if they really truly can't pay. Right. But those prices can be 50 to 80, sometimes 90% cheaper than elsewhere because they don't have to have all of that. So prices.
But yet they still, that's just crazy. 50, 70, 90% less, but yet they still make more money.
They do. And all the surgeons are so happy. I remember when the anesthesiologist who started the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, I remember when he talked about a waiting list of surgeons to come in. Why is that? Because the surgeon comes in, does their thing, gets paid with a check, doesn't have to fill out any reports, doesn't have to do an electronic health record. It's just pure, simple practice.
Well, and they don't even like the whole business part of it. That's not what they went to school with. It's not in their personalities. Science, knowledge worker types, they don't like it. They hate it. Most of them do. And if they like it, they go into administration. That's not what they're about. And we're forcing people to do things that are not part of their nature. There's so many things wrong with it from a management perspective. And I don't know why it's not obvious. You know, people say all these management people are coming in and managing it, and that's why it's screwed up. Well, I kind of look at it and go, well, I don't even know if that's the case because good managers and people, MBA programs and think they're not teaching this. This is bad management.
Yes. I look at it really as just a calculated strategy by outsiders to rip us all off. And they just found a way. They found a way because everybody needs healthcare. So they found a way and we need to find a way out.
That's exactly what they do is they find big industries where they can make money. They figure out how to skim a certain amount off the top and get themselves in. And that's what happens. Now it's turned into this big nightmare. And we just need to roll it back and turn it into something that's realistic. I do think we need to figure out how to take care of the ones that can't take care of themselves. There needs to be a solution for that in any caring society. But right now we can't take care of anybody. I mean, the average people are really struggling. So we have to solve that and come up with solutions to solve the people who can't, we're a caring society. So we want to care for those who can't care for themselves. Well, but this isn't how you do it.
Well, and I will say that when it comes to taking care of people who are on, let's just say Medicaid, right? The Medicaid level. So there are clinics, the Patmos Clinic in Tennessee. Patmos means pay at the moment of service. And he has a whole bunch of Medicaid patients because the prices are Medicaid friendly. Or if necessary, they barter. And those people provide him with something that he needs. I also talked to a doctor in Ohio who has a cash practice. He has all his prices up, a menu of itemized prices, and 20% of his practice is Medicaid. The folks that come to a wedge practice are going to be paying cash, check, or charge, but they're going to, even if they're on Medicaid, they might find this highly affordable. And it might be exactly what they want. They aren't going to be treated any different than anybody else because they're coming in at the same level of everybody else. So they will be just a patient like everybody else. They just happen to have less income, but it's going to be for many of them affordable in many of these practices.
So does Medicaid actually then reimburse them because they're out of network? Or no, it just doesn't even matter because it's just better for them. That's
right. It's a doctor who cares about them. They're not looked at as a, quote, Medicaid patient, and they're seen timely. Right. And this is a lot of, if you're a Medicaid patient, you might not be seen timely because, of course, Medicaid doesn't pay very well at all. And for many doctors, it's not worth the price to take a Medicaid patient because the paperwork consumes so much time. It eats up all the money that you might get. Right.
Yeah.
So it's far better to take care of the Medicaid population charitably, which also then either charitably or have the prices so low that they can afford them. If you take care of them charitably, you take care of them only when they need it. It's not the government paying a certain amount to the health plan per member per month, no matter if they ever use it. And so this is where a lot of health plans are making their money is off of Medicaid. But when you're a doctor, you can take care of them charitably or at a price that is affordable. And if you take care of them charitably, they also feel the generosity. It is no longer an entitlement. They feel the generosity
exactly
and feel more accountable to coming in only when they have to come in.
Because when it's an entitlement program, it messes everything up.
That's right.
Versus a charitable program where they know that somebody's giving to them of their time. It's a different deal. I love that concept. But do you have sample price, the transparency stuff that you're talking about that you can send to me so that I can give people an idea of kind of what it's like without all these insurance companies involved?
Sure. A lot of these clinics, it's not wedge pricing, right? We don't do their prices. They just choose their prices because they're independent, freely practicing practices that we're just letting the world have a window in on in hopes of getting everybody to go and become their patients. And so I know Patmos Clinic has theirs online. This Ohio clinic might have theirs. Surgery Center has all of theirs online. This is the whole deal. And the direct primary care, they have theirs online as well because they're monthly. So you can see what monthly you would be charged and then what the services are within there and whether you have 24/7 access by phone, by email, by text. They're all different. And so there's no like standard, right? Because they're independent businesses. But this is one of the big things. Price transparency. If you're a wedge clinic, you have your prices out.
Well, that's what I want to share with people. Here's the transparency and here's some samples and they're charging less and making more and everybody's happy. And, just the bottom line is right now, people just need to save money. I mean, to stop the bleeding, they need to have a more affordable solution right now. That's what people are looking for right now. And then once they start getting involved where they're not treated like just a person going through a drive-through and they're actually getting really good care, then they'll start going, oh, okay, this is what this is about. This is what doctors used to be. Because people are so used to being just shoved through this process. You sit in the waiting room and you might have to wait for 45 minutes to an hour. But if you're late, you get charged. I mean, it's all these things because they have to see, like I said, it keeps being this drive-through. They have to see so many patients an hour. Otherwise, these doctors get in trouble. I mean, they have like quotas. And they have to see 12 patients an hour or something. It's just ridiculous. My sister negotiated half the patients. So she gets paid less. So she sees less, which is awful. But it's because they have these high quotas. And so a patient feels that. You come in, the doctor goes in for 60 seconds and leaves. And you're like, well, why do I have to? You just feel like you're not being cared for. And so that's a secondary. The sad part is that's almost a secondary problem right now because people can't even afford what they have now.
Right. And the fact is that you don't feel cared for. And this is supposed to be about care, right?
Well, yeah, you just like, it keeps getting back to that drive-through. You just feel like you're putting through, and it shouldn't be that way for something like this. And
you're spending so much money, and that money that you are spending in premiums never is what you're being used. It's not what you're using at the doctor's office. So then you're using more money, but you're still not being cared for.
Right. It's like, yeah. So I met with the doctor for 3 minutes and I'm paying $200.
Right.
What is that?
Right. And you come in with questions, or you don't, or you have a separate question and they say, I don't have time for that question. This is
well, you better. If I'm only paying $200, I want you to answer my question.
Right. But they're not, because they're no longer in control of the system. The system is control of the doctors and the patients. And the whole purpose of the wedge is to turn that upside down.
Yeah, because they hate it too. They know that they're not doing a good job when they do that. They know it.
That's right. They don't feel good about it. And
they know it. It's so obvious. They're smart people, so they really hate it. Well, good. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to put your information up on the radio page, and so that people can get to it, and hopefully that people will be able to learn a lot more about this, and doctors and clinics as well. And I appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. And I would, in case you didn't notice it, I just also want to point out that we have an email that comes out every Wednesday called the e-news, and we share information on healthcare every Wednesday. And you can sign up for that at the top of the page at cchfreedom.org, which is our organizational page.
Okay.
cchfreedom.org.
So we'll include that on the radio page too, so they can get signed up for your weekly. You don't like to call it a newsletter. You like to call it what do you call it?
Well, it's a weekly email newsletter. That's
okay. It's a newsletter. Sign up for your week, but it gives you good information on where the healthcare industry is at. So that's really great. So Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Unfortunately, we do not have time to air the rest of this interview on air. However, you can catch the whole interview on podcast at my website at sarahwestall.com or any of your favorite podcast channels. And you can hear the rest of this fantastic interview. You're going to learn a lot about healthcare and the solutions that they are providing. Again, you can hear my show on over 90 plus digital channels. It also streams live on Transformation Talk Radio and WBLQ 1230 AM and on their website at WBLQ.net. We also play 7 days a week on Transformation Talk Radio and Conscious Business Radio, which I am very pleased about. So you have so many places you can find this radio show. I hope you also go to my website and get the stats and read the blogs that I write, because there's so much information that I include on my website at sarahwestall.com. So for now, I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
You've been listening to Business Game Changers with host Sarah Westall. Tune in each Monday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, as Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in Mondays at 12 noon Pacific Time and learn more about Sarah at sarahwestall.com today.